Okay, we're back to the old video mode. Today's lesson is adding and subtracting fractions with different denominators, which is a very important skill. So your objective is, I will be able to add and subtract fractions that have different denominators. So, in our last lesson, we talked about getting least common multiple, which is going to be very important today, because when we are adding and subtracting our fractions, we are going to have denominators that are the same, and so we're going to use least common multiple to figure out what our denominator is going to be. So, I'm going to give you a problem that's like one you'll see a lot. For example, an easy one, 1/3 plus 1/4. Now, because the denominators are different, remember the denominators show you how many pieces the whole is split into. So this one over here is split into 3 and we have 1. This one over here is 4 and we have 1. We can't just add that together and say we have 2, because this one is different from this one, because this one is a piece that's split into 3. This one is a piece that's split into 4. So the only way that we can add those together is if they're in the same size pieces. So what we're going to do is other things that we learned how to do with numbers. What we're going to do is make the pieces the same size. So what I'm going to do here is try and find what is the least common multiple of 3 and 4. The least common multiple of 3 and 4. So, if you remember last lesson, if you're good at it, you know that the least common multiple between 3 and 4 would be 12. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take each one of these fractions and I'm just going to make them so that they're split into 12. So the way I do that, and I have, remember, it's 1/3 plus 1/4. So on this third, what do I have to do to split that into 12 pieces? Well, I need to split each of those 3 into 4 pieces. So what that looks like is each one of these 3 pieces I'm going to split into 4. So it's going to be now 12 pieces. But remember, I split all of those pieces into 4, so that means I also have to split the top into 4. And you can see that the piece 1, 2, 3, 4, I already split that one into 4, so I have 4. 1 times 4 is 4. Since I had one piece and it was split into 4, it now becomes 4 pieces. So now I need to do the same thing with 1/4. I need to split it so that it's in 12. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to split each one of those 4ths in thirds. So what's going to happen is, that's what it's going to look like. And what I'm doing here, since I split all of them into thirds, then that means that one that I had to split into thirds, if you do something to the bottom number, you have to do it to the top. So I have 1, 2, 3 pieces. So that top becomes 3, and the bottom is 12. Now, both of these wholes are split into 12 different pieces. And since they're the same size pieces, now I can add them. I don't do anything with the bottom. I know that my answer is going to be in 12ths because both of them are in 12ths. So I'm just going to add 4 plus 3 is 7 12ths. So all I would do is I would take these 1, 2, 3, 4, and I would just add them over here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now I have 7 12ths. That's my answer. So this next time I'm going to do it, and I'm not going to draw the hole for you. You just need to, you can picture it like this, and if you want to rewind and look at it like this, you can do that. But you don't need to draw it every single time. That would be a long process to do, especially for some fractions. So let's take another one. Let's say 2/5 plus 1/3. Okay, first thing I need to do, number one, you can put these in your notebook. First thing I need to do, find least common multiple. The reason I need to find least common, now if they're the same, if the denominators are the same, I don't need to do that, but I'm going to find least common multiple because I need the denominators to be the same. And so in this case, the least common multiple between 5 and 3 would be 15. So then I'm going to make denominators, I'm going to abbreviate denominators the same. So they're both going to be 15 because that's my least common multiple. So how do I get from 5 to 15? I take it times 3. How do I get from 3 to 15? I take it times 5. Now, if I do it to the bottom, that's my next rule. Do it to the bottom, you have to do it to the top. So, I took this times 5, so I need to take the top times 5. Took this times 5, then I need to take the top times 5. So now what I have is I'm sorry, does this look right? That's called a Mr. Knight. It's Saturday, and the Huskers lost brain fart. I took this times 3. Why would I take that times 5? That doesn't make any sense. If I took this times 3, I have to take this times 3. Good thing I caught myself. You guys probably caught me before I caught me. So, this one becomes 2 times 3 is 6. 5 times 3 is 15. That one becomes 6/15. And we know equivalent fractions, those are the same. So 6/15 is equal to 2/5. So we haven't changed the number. All we've changed is how many pieces. So we have 6/15. Now this one 1 times 5 is 5. 3 times 5 is 15, so I have 5/15. Those are equivalent fractions. So now I have 6/15 plus 5/15. So all I do is I add the tops. So it's going to be 11. We keep the denominators the same. 11/15. That's all there is to it. So find the least common multiple, make the denominators the same. If you do something at the top, you do it to the bottom. And then the last thing, of course, is just add or subtract. So number 4 would just be solve. So we're going to practice one together, and that's going to be it. And we're going to work on this quite a bit in class. But I'm going to leave this up here. I know it's probably not the greatest handwriting, and it's kind of small up there, but try and get that down. So let's try subtraction problem. It's the same process. Let's try 4/5. Actually, let's try 4/5 minus 3/10. Okay, the first thing I need to do is number 1, find least common multiple. So 5 and 10, what's the least common multiple? If you tell me that it's 20, I'm going to tell you there's a better number. 5 goes into 10, right? So the least common multiple is 10. So I found the least common multiple. It's going to be 10. So I know that my fractions are going to be split into tenths. So next thing, make the denominators the same. I don't have to do anything to this one. But this one, what do I do to get from 5 to 10? I have to take it times 2. If I do it to the bottom, number 3, I have to do it to the top. So what I end up getting is tenths on the bottom, tenths on the bottom, 8 on the top. So now the pieces are split into the same size. So I have 8/10 minus 3/10. All I have to do is 8 minus 3, which equals 5/10. Oh, but actually there's going to be a number 5 here. Because you see 5/10, that is the correct answer. However, I'm going to add number 5 here. Number 5 is going to say simplify, if you have to. If it's already simplified, you don't have to simplify it. So a smart 6th grader would be able to figure out, hey, 5 goes into both of those, we'll divide them both by 5, so our answer is going to be 1/2. So that's all there is for today. We're going to work a lot in class on this stuff. So with that, I'll say goodbye.